What's up, everyone? We're here to talk some soccer. Thanks to all of y'all that maybe are joining us right after watching USA not do so well in the Copa America. Orange County didn't have a great weekend. I feel like it's sort of like that old Paula Abdul song, take two steps forward, take two steps back. That's sort of what Orange County is doing right now. Hopefully that means good news in a couple days here where they take two steps forward again. We'll get into that. We got a friend joining the show to talk to us. We got two matches to preview. And we also got to talk a little bit about this past weekend. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Podcast of Champions. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only show dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora. I'm going to take you through this journey as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. My lone partner for this episode is someone that was helping us out on our live show before the match this past Saturday. Luckily, he did not get struck by one of those soccer balls from the goalkeepers like I was maybe asking for at the moment.
Cruel.
But
cruel and hurtful.
Welcome, Larry. And here's your new title, Larry. Not just the bearded one, but the 100%, no doubt about it, last place, Larry. How you doing, Larry?
If you're going to finish strong, even if you're going to finish on the bottom. And I would say that my playing for Pride Month was a very, very strong bottom finish. I think I was 24 points, and the next lowest total was 35 points. So
it's not even close.
Not even close. What I would recommend from here on out is do not take advice from me on soccer predictions. Obviously, I'm not very good at it. Dylan's already said it. All tactic or no tactics, just all feels.
Well, I'll say this about you, Larry. You at least, for your playing for Pride Month was probably on par with what Orange County's month of June was like on the field. So you get that award at least. You did as close to Orange County as you probably could have.
Well, yes, because I ended up picking all the players who, one of them left the team in the middle of the month. One of them only played in one game all month. And another one is now out for the entire year. So, and then I don't even remember who the other two were. It was just, that was just, man, I had some rough choices.
I like Chuck on the chats already. He's already throwing shade here. You shouldn't have picked Gnarly. Gnarly should not have been on your roster. I feel like
Gnarly might have been better than some of my players did.
Yeah, I was going to say he probably, maybe we just add Gnarly as sort of a safe choice next year. Whereas like if he makes an appearance at the stadium, you get 2 points. And that's just sort of the safe route for people. If they want to get a guaranteed 2 points every match, you do that. And that might throw a little key. It's like a $4 pick for Gnarly, but you're guaranteed 2 points every match. Who knows? But before we get into the results of the Playing for Pride, let's talk about briefly, Larry, about the match this past weekend. Orange County looking for revenge against an Oakland Roots team that the last time we saw them was up in Oakland, and it wasn't a beautiful result in that match. Orange County came into this match on the high of a victory on the road against Indy 11. The fans were in force at the stadium. It was announced as a sellout, but obviously the way sports go, it wasn't every single seat taken. Unfortunately, Orange County goes down early on in the match, the 15th minute. We just saw that on the replay there, and never are able to bounce back. I mean, they looked better after conceding that first goal, but they couldn't make anything of it, even though there were a couple good chances later on in the match. Larry, you were pitch side. You were hanging around, and seeing everything as close up as anyone at the stadium is able to see other than the players and the refs. What were your overall thoughts of this match? And before you talk, I don't want to hear anyone say that the first goal was offside. Ashish was keeping the Oakland player onside 100%. I know there were thoughts about that when I was talking to people at the stadium. Go, Larry. I talk too much.
That's fine. You know what? This was a tough game. I don't know how many people are aware, but to include Saturday night, the last 5 games against Oakland, we are 1 win, 3 losses, 1 draw. So we are not, since the 2021 playoffs, and beating them in the the semifinal, Western Conference semifinals. We're 1-3-1 against Oakland, so that's not very good. They have our number right now. Again, we are playing with a makeshift back four. Colin did everything he could. It's so hard for this team to be able to find the success that they need with all of the players injured that we have. When you only have, again, 13 guys and you have 2 goalies in your 18, man, that is a scary prospect. And you have to think, how do we pull something out of our hat, in this kind of situation? And right now the team just can't do it. And it's not any fault of theirs. It's just the circumstances of the injuries. They're killing us. They've been killing us all year. I don't feel like we played great. I think the guys did the best that they could, all things considered. I would have liked to have seen us get some more shots. I mean, we only had 4 shots the entire game, 2 on goal. That was one of them. Wasn't really that strong. Overall, I just wasn't wowed by the team's performance on Saturday night.
Can we say on that one that we were just referencing, it's the free kick that Christian Soto, I believe, was the one that took the shot.
Yes.
We definitely are missing our normal kick taker or options from that spot. If you look at it, right, the options would typically be a Brian Olowski or maybe a Marcus Nogum taking that shot from that spot.
Or Sofian Jafal.
Or Sofian, who's no longer there. Yeah. I want to go back and producer, you don't need to go back on the highlights. I think we all know what we're talking about here. I'm going to ask, I know, Larry, you're not a soccer ref, but you are a sports official.
I am.
I just want to get your thoughts about the play where it looks like maybe Bryce Jamison is the one that gets fouled, but Oakland gets up. The ref is sitting there, doesn't make an initial signal, and then right away points toward, or waits 5 seconds, 10 seconds, points that it's Oakland's ball. I think Orange County was anticipating it's ours, so they're not getting prepped on defense. The ref makes the play. Oakland goes quick. They get a shot on. Shuttler gets a yellow card for arguing with ref. What are your thoughts on the way the ref handled that? Is that something where if the ref took a long time to make the call, should they maybe make Oakland wait for a whistle? Or is that just the way the game goes and we just were unlucky there?
Umpiring baseball is so much different than umpiring soccer. Soccer, it's let's go. Baseball, you have more time to sit back and think about what's happening, even when you're behind the plate. And pitch comes in, you have time. Bam, it hits the glove. Pause. Strike. Bam, next one hits the glove. Pause. That's a ball. It's just soccer moves much, much quicker. On this particular case, this one that you're talking about, the referee can't. And we just saw it tonight in the Copa America game with USA and Uruguay, almost a similar situation. Referees pulling out a yellow card and then lets Uruguay just start right back up. Well, you can't stop a team and then let the other team go. And on that one, I think that was there's an absolutely reasonable reason to get a yellow card for Shuttler. I mean, sometimes you got to say something to a referee. In baseball, you can say something to a referee, to an umpire. You just can't say anything about balls and strikes. You can't argue that. So there was a lot of questionable stuff in this game this past weekend, and it was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I know the fans, and I'm going to admit I'm one of them. We're not too happy in the closing maybe 20 minutes of the match. Yeah. There was a lot of booing, a lot of heckling of the center ref for some of the calls or the non-calls late in the match. Everyone that has talked to me about it knows that I'm of the mindset, if it's a foul outside the box, it's a foul in the box. I know, I watch the sport. I know that that's not the way the matches are usually officiated, but there's nothing in the rules that say it has to be a more obvious foul when it's in the box to be called. I mean, pretty much it should be, if it's something that's going to be called. And we saw instances of, and I'm not saying the ref only made bad calls against Orange County. I mean, there were some bad calls both ways. It just seems in the final moments, it was Orange County that was getting a lot of those calls. And the one that I was curious about was our interim head coach getting a yellow card. He looked a little shocked. I think everyone knows if a ref comes talk to a coach, the center ref comes to talk to the coach, it's almost always going to be a card. He looked like our coach looked like he was shocked that a card came out. So I don't know if maybe because I think at that point the fans were getting very vocal. I don't know if maybe the fans were part of all of that going on.
Well, you can't give a coach a card because the fans are upset. That's ridiculous. But yeah,
I'm not saying it happened because they were upset. Maybe there was something that was said and the fourth official heard it and looked over and thought it was the coach that said it. Who knows how that all works?
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Larry, with what you were going to say.
No, that's right. Yeah, I was really surprised by that. I mean, obviously I wasn't close enough to hear what was being said over there on the bench. But when all of a sudden the center ref, and he's on the far side of the pitch, blows the whistle and trots all the way across, I mean, a card is coming. And then you have to ask yourself, well, okay, Hardiman, what did you say? Did you cross a line? Did you use that word that they used in the movie Bull Durham that you can't use when talking to a sports official? Ray, I see you looking up trying to remember what the word is. I'll tell you off air. Can't say it on air.
I'm not looking up anything. I'm actually sort of looking around at the screen to see what great graphics we have that producer Andy has shared on the screen for people to see that are watching the video version of this.
Yeah. I mean, obviously something happened there. Who knows what it was? Obviously the fourth ref knows, and he felt he was slighted, and he had to call the center ref over to go ahead and give the card to Hardiman.
I mean, in the end, right, I'm not trying to make any kind of, and thank you, producer, for reminding me, the game flow chart is courtesy of American Soccer Analysis. They've allowed us to use their charts on our stream, so we appreciate that. I don't want to put blame on the ref. In the end, Orange County had a poor match. They couldn't capitalize on some of the few opportunities they had, and they sort of let the ref get in their head, and they weren't playing. And we've seen this numerous times this year. We've seen players getting frustrated on the pitch. I think everyone knew when Tomas Amon came on the pitch, there was going to be a little bit of animosity on his side. He's going to be a little upset and looking to get a little bit of revenge. And I think you probably saw, I'm not someone that is a fan of cheap shots or, revenge shots or something, but you could see that Amon was maybe trying to give a little extra nudge to some of the Oakland players for what happened the last time he played against them. Obviously, Kyle's been frustrated all season, so we've been seeing stuff out of him. The team is just, we mentioned this going into June. The team is just not clicking right now. There's no chemistry on this team. It's a lot of players trying to do things individually. There's a little bit of team concept there. I'm not saying they're not teammates. I'm not saying they're not getting along. I'm just saying that they haven't found that chemistry. In preparation for this match, I was really thinking about like patterns, right? If you look at this team, at least since the podcast became a podcast, the team typically has a good year, a poor year, a good year, a poor year. So if you go back, 2018, pretty strong year, make it to the Western Conference Finals. 2019, a pretty crappy year. 2020, I'm going to just say that doesn't even count because that was the COVID year and it was all weird and hectic and crazy. 2021, a good year.
It was okay.
2021 was okay. 2022, not so good. 2023, good. So if we're following a pattern here, 2024 is sort of following into that pattern of a not so good year. And we're now at the point where we need to maybe start panicking. And maybe I saw some comments. Maybe we need to start playing some of the young players and getting that development going and see what we have, seeing if we have any good diamonds there on the young players. I know we've seen some of them, but maybe see a pair or a trio of them in one match. Obviously they're used to playing with each other on the two team, throw them in there and see how they help maybe energize or provide a little spark to this team. Obviously we're hoping that some of the injured players come back and that does that as well. But right now we're on the outside looking in and it's not a really comfortable spot, especially for all the expectations heading into the season. Right, Larry?
Oh, absolutely. And the expectations were extremely high coming into this season. And we all had them. There was always the question of how are we going to replace Milan and those goals that he scores? But when that announcement came that Dogman, Lamb, Powers, Foxy, Marcus, and Colin were all coming back, all of us were over the moon excited because That is a great defensive back line. It's phenomenal. But they're all hurt.
I don't know if you know this off your top of your head. I know you're not the person that typically has these types of stats. This would be more of a Brad or even a Dylan thing. Maybe producer Andy can find the answer if we can't figure it out. How many matches have we seen with what was our projected starting back line? I don't think we've had one match where all four of them are in the lineup, right?
0. Because Dylan Powers has not played an entire game this year.
Obviously, that makes sense, right? I apologize. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, I think Marcus has only played. I mean, we've played 16. I bet you Marcus has only played 6. I would guess. Boxy's only been in a handful. Ryan Dogman's been in and out. And when he came in on, and this blew me away, I realized that we're struggling for goals and we are struggling for offense. And Ryan Dogman is a great left wing back. But he was up front playing left wing. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to Ryan because I love the guy and he's a fantastic human being. But trying to replace Milan Olaski on left wing with Ryan Dogman on left wing, that is not going to work, not in this lifetime. I don't know a lot about tactics, but I'm smart enough in regards to soccer to know that. So yeah, just when you're having to piece together things like that, it's Dolly Parton's quilt of many colors or coat of many colors or whatever the hell it's called. It's just it's not going to be a formula for success, unfortunately.
That makes sense. So were there any positives you saw from this team on Saturday, or is this one of those matches you just need to dust it away, put it in a box, forget about it, and there's really nothing you can take from this match? And again, me and you, the two of us, we're not the most tactical and the most, let me just say tactical of the hosts on the show. So this is, I think both of us go more based off of what basically the feeling and the sight that we saw. We're not really breaking down soccer tactics and analysis. But is there anything that you saw out of this match or that you remember from this match that you want to see continue?
Kyle has been a rock star all year. It doesn't matter what's going on the field. Kyle is going to be fantastic. So we can pretty much put that in our back pocket that's going to be a positive every single week without question. I kind of liked how Sergio Chavez played. I think he did a very serviceable job filling in. Is he going to be
hold on really quick, Larry? Let's pause. We got producer Andy wants to chime in really quick.
Andy.
I think it's Jordan Chavez.
Jordan Chavez? Okay. Pardon me. Sorry.
That's why we pay him the big bucks, is to make
Jordan,
sure
if you're listening, my apologies. So we'll just go with Chavez for now because the lineup that I was looking at says Sergio Chavez. So anyway, I thought that he did a very, very we're going to go with serviceable. We're going to go with serviceable. He did a good job Saturday night. Outside of that, there was a lot of things that were awfully messy. I do really like how Ethan Zubak is playing. He has been getting, I feel like him getting these full 90s is bringing his game level up. Is he going to go out and get us, 12 or 15 more goals in the last 18 games? I don't know about that. I don't think so. But I'll take 7 or 8. I'll take 7 or 8 from Thomas Amang as well. So, if we can get some of those things back up and firing, I think we'll sneak into the playoffs at the end of the day.
I know I just mentioned that we're not really the tactical people here on the show, but I'm actually going to bring some tactical thoughts on this. And I'm going to talk about Zubak since you brought him up. I think, and no disrespect to Coach Carlson, and what he's done all season, we don't really know what's going on with Hardiman as far as if he's going to switch up tactics. It looks, at least after this first match, it looked very similar to what we've seen this season. I feel like Zubak is not being given the proper support that he needs to be successful on this team. I was talking with Dylan after the match. For those who don't know, he came down, was visiting. Hopefully you saw him at the match, and we rode home together. And I was talking with him, and the thing that I'm seeing with Zubak, however you say his name, I apologize, is he's doing what he needs to do. They're hoofing the ball up to him. He's being the tall player that he is. He's getting the head. He's winning the headers. He's getting his head to the ball. If you watch when he does that, He's trying to push the ball back with his head to a spot where he's anticipating someone should be to receive that ball and continue the play. Unfortunately, what's happening so far this season, and again, this has to do probably with injuries, tactics are not quite working out right, is when he does that and when he wins those headers, the ball is going down to the ground, and who's getting the ball? The other team, whether it's this past weekend, previous matches, or whatever. The other thing that's really hurting for him right now is his teammates have been unable to get passes over the head of the defenders. If you watch him in these matches, he's making 10 or more runs a match, where if his teammates get the ball over the head of that defender, he's going to have a one-on-one with the goalie. And you can see the frustration every time he's making those runs, because 99% of the time he's making those runs, the ball is not getting to him. So I know a lot of fans are upset with the lack of goals coming out of Ethan this season, but there's a lot of things going on that are not working to what his strengths are. His strengths are winning the headers, being a tall player up top and trying to control them to a teammate, not happening, or making a run, behind the defense with a nice looping pass. Larry, I want to give you one more chance to say anything, and then we're going to move on and look ahead to the 2 matches we have coming this week.
Just kind of off topic of soccer, I would like to see Ethan Zubak on a basketball court, because for a guy who is 6 foot, maybe 6'1", he's got some serious hops. You're talking about him getting up and getting his head on the ball. This guy can leap out of the freaking stadium. And I think if we can get more opportunities like that, we're going to see him put some more goals in the back of the net.
And I see Gabriel throwing a comment really quick about Ethan, that he's, doing good, but he's missing some easy shots. Yes, he has done that. Part of that comes, anyone that has played sports can tell you, when you get frustrated, the shots or the home runs or the hits or the whatever sport you're playing become that much more difficult to convert, even if they're the easy ones, because you're in your head, you're frustrated, and you're pressing too hard. You're putting too much power behind a shot. You're trying to place a header too much, and it's not working right because you're getting frustrated. Not saying that's an excuse for him missing, because he's a professional. He needs to make some of those easier shots. But I can see where what he's trying to do is what he knows how to do, and it's not really working within the system right now because we haven't found a way to fix that. Hey, Orange County has a chance, although a very difficult chance this week. They have 2 matches. This is, I think, maybe the first time this week that we have a midweek match. The difficult part of it, a match at home, a midweek match on the road. Not an easy trip either to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't think there's many direct flights between Orange County and Albuquerque. If there are, maybe. And then
I don't think Albuquerque has an airport. I think the players actually have to parachute in, because Albuquerque is a third world country.
Yep. And then they have a weekend match back at home, a revenge match for Memphis coming back because we beat them in Memphis. But we're going to talk about this New Mexico match, and we've brought a big friend of the show, huge friend of the show, someone that we love dearly, Mr. Chris Walker. Chris, welcome back to our show.
What's going on?
Before we get into this match, what's been going on with you over the, since the last time we heard from you? I heard you were getting involved with government or politics or things like that, or you were like part of like some sort of government program. I don't know. Maybe I'm hearing wrong news. Tell me what's going on, Chris.
Man, you must be hearing the wrong news for sure.
Maybe it's a different Chris Walker.
I think so. There's a lot of them, right? No. So I've just been, doing the supporter group thing, right? Supporter group, Black Diamond supporter group. So we're 4 seasons in at this point, which is, definitely I feel like is an accomplishment, because that's a lot. There's a lot that goes into running a group like that, especially you have the help of obviously other members who really believe in the mission. And so because of that, pretty much after the first year, it wasn't just like it was solely me, there was a lot of buy-in, and, our group is a great one. We have a lot of folks that step up to the plate. It's always very much next man or woman mentality up, as far as that goes. So I've been doing that. A lot. And, and also trying to get back into, obviously the pundit, right? Trying to get back into obviously a bit of seek and strike things, kind of been working on a website for forever now, and I just like for it to kind of be done. So I can kind of do the things I like doing with that, but these opportunities to get on the show with you guys and everyone else are great. They definitely are a catalyst to kind of get more momentum. So.
All right, and I want to apologize because I think I was going off like a tweet from back in January from the Black Diamonds Twitter account that you were part of the New Mexico Black Chamber of Commerce. Maybe that's
oh yeah. Well, yeah, I did join the New Mexico Black Chamber of Commerce as a member, but that mainly to get a little bit more visibility, on some of the missions of Black Diamonds, and
that's good
to be a part of those communities. It kind of signal boosts a lot of the initiatives we have. Right, because we're out there kind of fighting the good fight, for access and diversity. And I think if we can get ourselves in front of a lot of the members of that group, we could probably get some additional support and help. So that's what that's about.
So tell us, how are things going there in Albuquerque for New Mexico United? I don't think it's an exciting midweek away match for us Orange County fans. We're not excited that who we have to play and when we have to do it, but how are things going for you all heading into this match?
Great. I mean, the boys are back on the winning side of things. There's a lot of belief in the stands for us. It's early, right? But I'm not going to say that like folks haven't said cup season or something, So like, definitely there's a lot of excitement. People love this brand new New Mexico United side. I mean, just about everyone is new.
Yeah, can we just say you're like super humble with this? I mean, you're like, oh yeah, things are going good. It's going great. We're back on the winning side of things. I mean, dude, you're top of the table in the West. You're a scary team on the road midweek.
Well, every time I get on this podcast, like the result flips. So like
there's a reason.
That's why you're nervous. That's why you're nervous.
Hey, Chris, I am curious, and you're gonna have to help me out to understand this. Okay. Yeah. New Mexico, 15 games, 3 points on top, 3 points atop the table, with a game in hand on SAC, 6 points in front of third place Oakland with 3 games in hand. How is this team 10-1-4 with a goal differential of +1? How the hell is that even possible, my man?
Well, I mean, the team is sitting at the top of the table with games in hand because of USL scheduling. But I mean, like, but honestly, though, this team is different. Eric Quill, head coach, the Quill ball is much different than previous head coaches that this team has had. Like I said, there's a lot of buy-in. They do gel. There's definitely a few techers on the team. You can see that in like, how well they set each other up. So like they're at the top because they truly believe that that's where they should be. And it's not just lip service week in and week out. Like, I mean, look, the losses that they have, you can study those. Like, they were by multiple goals, and there were certain things happening in those matches. Certain things happening in those matches that really made why the result went the other way. Playing out the back on teams that are pressing. And I mean, making defenders make bad choices when they're the ones holding the ball, right? That was a big thing. Or playing too high up on teams with a lot of pace. The other team can win the ball, mid pitch, and they can obviously dink it out front. Then it's just a foot race, right? So there are anecdotal things that cause those losses, but they're, like I said, they're spinning the results because, it's the training and it's the conviction during the week to do the thing they need to do.
If you had to pick, like, what's the biggest weak spot on New Mexico with the team right now? Like, I'm sure, obviously, teams already know this, but from your eyes and what you've seen, what's been the biggest weak spot on
turnovers? Turnovers is the biggest weak spot. Like, the pass that goes like 30 yards and kind of starts to fizzle out after 20, 25 yards, or 25, I guess, feet, you'd say, or yards. But like, it's that, right? That's the thing I see is the turnovers. It's the passes that don't make it to the next player, or they're very projected passes. They play real direct sometimes, and that's a big weakness of sort. I think that's the biggest one, because they'll be doing so well, and then they'll make that pass, and then bam, there's that. Or they don't set a close second could be not settling into the game, playing too fast, letting the other team dictate how they play, and then that causes obviously a loss of possession more often than not in the middle third.
So I gotta, I guess, wonder, this is going to be a very interesting look, right? Because if the weakest part of the game is those passes and maybe not getting to their destination, I feel like, at least, especially over the past month and a half with Orange County, one of their weaknesses has been winning the ball back. We saw it a lot this past weekend where it looked like Oakland was just playing with the ball and just moving it around, passing around, and Orange County's players just couldn't get to it. And I'm not saying they weren't trying, they weren't putting the effort. It's just whatever's happening is our team just is having trouble winning that ball when it's moving around the midfield like that. And Larry, jump in there and tell me if I'm saying something that you're not seeing. But I feel like that's been a big weak part for Orange County recently. So that'll be interesting to see. New Mexico not finishing a lot of those passes crisply,
right,
and Orange County not able to win the ball back in those types of instances. Who's going to be the one that can solve it this past week or this next weekend, or not weekend, in 2 days?
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chris, I'm curious. Alex Tambakis is doing Alex Tambakis kind of things. He's playing terrific in goal for you guys. Who has been the biggest surprise for New Mexico United this year? Who's really just stepped up that nobody saw it coming?
I mean, along those lines, I think you could probably look at maybe Makweli Akali, or you can look at Nanan Hosu, maybe, as far as players who have really contributed to the attack in some way. Because when you think, like, obviously we know Greg Hurst is a standout player for United, and we do expect him to, play Greg Hurst ball and essentially, like, be a prominent force in the matches. But I will say this, though, like, if you looked at the last 5 or so games, I mean, the defenders have definitely impacted the scoreline. So maybe there has been a little stunt of growth from the forwards too, right? Like, we're not taking many shots in the games, and when we're just trying to square up and have the full goal mouth in front of the player instead of just letting it rip from outside the 18 and, looking for that second ball, right? Or things like that. So they play team ball, though. I mean, the defenders have certainly been in the storylines, like, week in and week out. Just this last match against San Antonio, we had Abdi Mohammed, who, obviously was very thrivant when he was running up the pitch, and obviously being a part of, like, the counters. And then on top of that, like, the guy squares off and has a header that, like, essentially, like, equalized the game, right? So so you can't really count out the back line, or even some of the players that are coming forward, right? So so if you want to say, like, just to kind of revisit, because I hate to, like, have taken you around the world the world on that answer. I think really it's going to be the guys that you aren't focused on. So the Nanan Hosus, the Zico Baileys, the Abdi Mohammeds, or, like, the Talon Maples, like the different players that you just assume they're just playing the one position, as backline or midfielder, but then they're an attacking player that gets hot or has a different angle on it. So that's who's been really the standouts for us too. So
gotcha. We have a couple of questions from some of the listeners out there.
That's good.
Gabriel wants to know, how do you feel about Open Cup chances versus LAFC?
Thanks for the question, Gabriel. Appreciate that. Honestly, like, I'm going to say I feel like we have a chance, right? Like, I understand the LAFC is a force. They're obviously first in the West, and, Danny Buenga is, like, serious. That's a quite the monster on the pitch, right? And, you know. But I do think that just as much as they are the monster that they are, I think that there is still a slight window for a team to come in and just be gelled and be playing well. I mean, I think we have a chance, like if you wanted me to like antiquate that to like numbers, like, man, I feel like we have at least like a 35-40% chance to get that dub, and I think that's a good percentage, you know what I mean, at that.
What have you heard from do you know anything with your fan base? Is there anyone making the plans to make the trip out?
Well, they did charter a plane already, so that was like that's 100 seats on one plane. Then they did a second plane, which was like I think
nice.
Another maybe 25 to 50 seats. I could be wrong on that, but also there are a lot of fans that are just fans and supporters that are just driving out. So we might see about 300 at least, and maybe even more than that.
That's awesome.
Good on the New Mexico fans for making that trip out to LA. I was saying it's not a difficult trip, but it's also not the easiest of trips to make out from Albuquerque to LA.
Well, and also, I mean, in the previous years when I remember going out to a Los Dos match at Carson over there, right? Like there were already United fans that were in California too. So like the contingent there was we had about 30 people in the stands, and that was pretty good, for that. But they're making the trip for this. Like, 5 years ago, we were both in the quarters on different sides of the brackets. We wanted LAFC to beat Portland, and we obviously needed to beat Minnesota, and then that matchup would have happened in the semis. So now it's happening again. Obviously, in the quarters, we're on the same side, and this is the dream match for a lot of United supporters who also happen to be LAFC fans too. So
good for them.
And is there any from Chuck Eldridge? Chuck wanted to know what's the latest on a soccer-specific stadium for New Mexico.
Currently, right now, I mean, the last time there was an appeal, right? That's been a process. It's every time it goes to a vote, it passes, and then bam, there's an appeal. So right now they're supposed to be having another meeting here soon to like basically go back through the particulars. So I think that obviously the opposing party keeps kind of having like new things that are kind of popping up that they're trying to throw out, and we're just remaining confident on this side, and there's quite a bit of people that obviously are in support of the stadium. We have several supporters who live in the area that are certainly who have really been a part of speaking for it as far as residency is concerned, but then just the whole United Nation is just fully behind it. So, I mean, I think everyone's staying hopeful. We really all want to get into that stadium, and, no one's given up on it. So that's currently the latest right now, so.
No, thank you for that update. I hope y'all are able to figure out a way to make it work, because obviously anyone that listens to our show know that we're fans of soccer specific stadiums and getting off baseball pitches or getting off, these temporary fields or something like that. We want to find teams have really solid home stadiums to play in. Another question. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say we were definitely, like I said, in support of you guys being able to keep your guys' home at Championship Stadium. So we were, we were definitely all rallying behind you in that regard. Back then when you were kind of going through that. Yeah,
we felt the support nationwide from fans of lower league soccer, USL, and we felt the support from your fellow New Mexico United fans, Phoenix fans. As hard it is for me to say, we loved their support as well in that fight. And that's something that is just for the success of the league, just getting these soccer specific stadiums and getting like the ability to control the stadiums you're playing in as well is going to be a big part of the growth, which I know Orange County is still, they're not fully in control of their venue, right? It's still owned by the city, but they have a little bit better of a position than they had in previous seasons.
Right.
One question that we did have come up from actually one of our writers that contributes to some of the great written content we have on our website. So for those that didn't know, go to our website. You can read stuff from DK Jenks and all of our other writing team previews, recaps, other special articles. He wants to just know the way New Mexico has been playing in their current run of form. Is that something that you feel like they can actually sustain throughout the second half of the season, or do you anticipate a little bit of some road bumps or speed bumps or hiccups?
No, I think they really can still sustain that. Because again, like they really believe that they should be like at the top. And, this is certainly about getting 3 every time, every instance, like fighting, being unrelenting. Like they really are about what it's about, and you see it. I mean, even last year we saw how the belief mechanism worked when Quill first came on the scene, and just what they look like through 10 matches and how they were able to beat some giants. I mean, getting that win on Sacramento, that was pretty convincing and whatnot. And of course, already going into Phoenix, right? Like a couple times now and getting the win at their pitch when that was always going to be a challenge for us. So, I mean, it definitely can do it. And to be doing it with 2 competitions kind of looks reminiscent to the very first year, right? Getting deep in Open Cup and then also still being like unbeaten at home at the same time. And the difference there probably, obviously in that season, once we got a draw or a loss, then it was kind of riveting and it kind of just we started to dwindle a little bit. But I don't really foresee that as much with this side. I think that they're very passionate. They have so many different players and from so many different levels of soccer who've just had that experience that, I mean, I really do believe that we're looking at something special this year. And I think that, it could also it could have some home field or at least have a home match in the playoffs, if not more. So I think they're trying to stay at the top and get the most points and really do this thing. So.
Awesome. Well, I mean, obviously you're going to be a tough opponent in a couple of days for a struggling Orange County team, but hey, that's the beautiful part about this game is any team can win on any given night. It doesn't matter if you're top of the table, bottom of the table, or somewhere in between. That's where this, 1-2 goal scoring difference really comes into play. So it's really awesome and beautiful. Before we say our goodbyes, I want to get your score prediction for this match, Orange County traveling out to New Mexico. What do you think the result will be?
We're a side right now we're able to we're getting multiple goals, which is a nice thing, right? We're not worrying about where the second one's going to come. I mean, there are those slow starts and whatnot, but at home, I feel like the prediction's probably going to be like 2-1, I don't know that, because I mean, with them, it's like they want to score first, obviously, right? And they would like to keep that clean sheet. I mean, United's got 4 clean sheets currently, right? But they would like to keep that. But obviously some things can happen in the games and can change, the storyline, right? But they always looking for that second goal as well, or sometimes the third. So 2-1 is what I would say. If I could be lofty, maybe like 3-1.
3-1 Orange County it is from Chris Walker.
Oh, no.
Well, you didn't mention a team, so I'm just assuming I'm making the best guess I can make for you.
I mean, this is our show after all, right?
I mean, look, we'll send you home with a bag of green chili, but we got to keep those 3 points.
Chris, I appreciate you taking some time to come on the show. I'm going to get in trouble for doing this, but so do a 30-second answer because me and you share a love for the LA Clippers. What are your thoughts with that news that Paul George is gone? They're doing a little bit of maybe a mini rebuild. What's your thoughts? 30 seconds because I don't want to get in trouble.
Goodbye, Paul. It's been nice knowing you. And let's go ahead and get some more things. And Ray, let's get that show going, dude.
Yeah, we got to figure out. Me and Chris were talking about it a few years back. Let's get a Clipper podcast going.
Let's do it.
Maybe we could do it now that we know how to do these podcast things a little bit better.
I got that new hat. We're good.
There we go. Everyone, follow Chris. Pay attention to the Black Diamonds. That's the important spot. Go to the Black Diamonds, support them, support their causes, do whatever you can with them. Also follow Chris, though. He's a great guy. He's a friend of the show. Thank you, Chris, for taking some time to speak with us about New Mexico. And best of luck for the rest of the season. Just don't have a good game, a good match on Wednesday.
Hey, you guys didn't have that player on this time. That might be my good luck this time.
There we go. There we go. Thanks, Chris. As
All right,
always,
see you
great
guys.
to have you on the show. We appreciate it.
For sure.
Really quick, I want to get our prediction for this match, Larry. I'm going to go first. I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith in this team. Like I said, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Let's take 2 more steps forward, and let's go with a 2-0 victory for Orange County. Larry, what's yours?
Well, here's the beauty of things. Obviously, based upon playing for Pride standings and based upon the prediction standings so far this year, I pretty much suck at this. So we're just going to go ahead, since I'm always wrong, the last 2 years at least, and I'm going to agree with Chris. 2-1, New Mexico.
I hope your pattern continues as well. So we're both playing the pattern game here, right? We're both going in with patterns on this. So that's the way this thing's. This happens when you don't have Brad or Dylan or someone that actually is sort of logical about their thoughts. I love it. Before we get into talk about how playing for Pride went, I do want to talk really quick. Memphis is the team we play this weekend. I'm not going to even pretend that either of us really know much about Memphis other than what we saw the last time we played them. I will say this. We beat Memphis on the road. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of revenge in the mind of the Memphis players. Memphis is playing pretty good right now. They're 4th in the table in the West. This is where I was saying at the beginning of the show, not an easy week for Orange County to recover from the loss this past weekend. Anything you want to say, Larry, about this Memphis match before we do score predictions for that one?
Memphis has been playing some pretty good soccer lately as well. They're putting a lot more balls in the back of the goal, back of the net than we are. I think we got away with one a couple of several weeks back when we played them in their house, and we had
a lot more of our player. We had a lot more of our players then too.
We had a lot more of our players than we did at that time. I think Orange County Soccer Club and Paul Hardiman in one full week and 3 games as the gaffer. I think it's going to be a tough week for our boys in orange and black.
All right, so let's get the score predictions. At home against Memphis, what's your prediction, Larry?
1-0 Memphis.
I'm going to go 4-2 Orange County. Ooh, 4-2 Orange County. I'm being brave.
4?
Yeah, we're going to figure this out, man. We're going to score some goals. We're getting, hopefully by then, Tomas can play a little bit more and Ethan will put a goal or 2 in the net. Maybe Cameron Dunbar will figure some things out on his shots. I'm having faith on that one. All right, let's do this.
At some point, somebody has got to bust out with a flood of balls in the back of the net. Cameron, Bryce, Ethan,
Ryan,
Tomas. It ain't going to be Brian.
Ryan Flood?
Ryan.
Maybe?
Oh, Ryan Flood.
Ryan Flood can be the Flood.
I don't care who it is. It's got to happen. It's got to happen now because we are 16 games into a 34-game season. We're running out of time. So
really quick before we talk about playing for Pride, our producer just messaged on the boards, but I want to get the audio on here for people that don't watch or don't see that stuff. And that's just Chris from the Black Diamonds, who we just had on the show. They will have a fundraiser coming up soon to send a young 15-year-old out to England. They need some help raising some funds. So we'll keep a lookout for that. We definitely will share that on our social medias, and we hope that anyone that can and is willing to can help contribute to that. Again, Chris has always been a huge supporter of our show and a big friend of our show. So any cause that they have going on, I want to try and help out with that. On to the final news of the night, and that is playing for Pride. Now that we are in July, the month of June is over, our playing for Pride game, fantasy soccer game, is complete. And look at that scoreboard. I think this is the first time ever since we started doing this fantasy game that we had a tie at the end of the month at the top of the leaderboard. I believe.
those are all the runner-ups.
Oh, these are the runner-ups. These are the runner.
Yeah.
Okay, these are. I didn't know we had like a special winner screenshot right here, but these are the runner-ups. So as you can see, I at least am on the left side of the column on this, so I did decent. I'm gonna contribute $56 to Athlete Ally as part of this game. Larry, I think, purposely chose a really weak team, so he would only have to donate $25 to Athlete Ally. So way to go there, Larry.
Yeah, like I said before, my entire team ended up hurt or left. Must be
I'm
me.
assuming. I'm
Is
assuming
it
knowing you,
something I
Larry. You're
said?
probably, I assume knowing you, you're going to probably throw in a little extra on top of that. But I'm not putting the pressure on you. You don't have to. But knowing the pressure are. But let's look at the top three spots. In third, we had Carter Lapp, 75 points on the year or on the game on the month. I think we had to go down to some like tiebreaker stuff in this whole thing. Second place, look at this, 75 points as well. But second place went to Carrie. And based off the tiebreaker, she predicted 7 goals, and OC scored 7 goals in the month. And
That's my wife.
so so here's the thing that's horrible on this, Larry, is as great as she was, you were trash in predicting the stuff.
Absolutely.
So we may have to
Horrible.
switch out host, and maybe you'll be on the sideline. We'll bring Carrie on as our permanent host from now
I'm
on.
fine with that. I'd like to sit down for a little while during games.
The winner of the contest this year, Melissa C, with 76 points, only by 1 point, Carrie. You missed out by 1 point. Same to you, Carter. Congratulations. And even I think fourth place wasn't far off from all this. Congratulations. Again, this was the most successful and the most participated of our fantasy, Playing for Pride fantasy games. Again, we ask anyone that participated if they are able to and willing to donate a dollar for dollar match on their points. That would be amazing. We would love you for that. And I know Athlete Ally would. Obviously, we're not saying you have to. If you can't make that number happen, if you can make any kind of donation, again, that's appreciated. Anyone that didn't participate, if you want to make a participation or a donation in support of our contribution on this, that would be awesome as well. But I think if anyone can do quick math, it's a pretty good number that if everyone's able to do a dollar for dollar donation, that's a pretty nice chunk of change that we are
1,776
that we are providing to support on this. So thank you so much for everyone that participated. And thank you to everyone that is going to be making a donation on behalf of this competition or this game. We appreciate that as well. Yes. What we'll do, I think I'll work with the rest of our team. Maybe we'll create some sort of graphic that everyone we'll create something simple and sweet that you participated, and you can throw in what number you are able to donate onto it, and you can share that tweet out there just so we can show the camaraderie that we had on this, which is really awesome to see on this. So again, thank you everyone for participating. Thank you, Brad, who's not on this episode, for sort of managing this game. Thank you, Larry, for helping out with some of that as well. With Brad stepped away, we were able to still get score updates and stuff like that, and producer Andy was able to make sure this all worked out well. So thank you to everyone for that. Well, that's going to do it here. We're going to wrap things up here. What I want to do, Larry, what did we learn on this episode? What did you learn on this episode? Do you want me to go first so you can think of something?
I'm not sure I'm capable of learning anything new at this point in my life. I'm kind of getting old.
I learned that Larry's wife, Carrie, is 3 times better than him at picking a roster for Playing for Pride, and thus really questions which of the family we have on this show, Larry. I apologize for saying it, but I mean, she destroyed you. She destroyed you.
Absolutely did. But let's keep something in mind. If it wasn't for me, she would not have even played. I said, hey, babe, you got to get in here. You got to do this. You got to pick a team. And she did, and she smoked it. And I'm very proud of my wife for this is just one of many, many reasons why I'm incredibly proud of my wife.
All right. What did you learn, Larry?
I learned that my wife is 3 times better at picking a soccer team than I am.
There we go. Simple as sweet. And you copied me. That sounds about right, coming out of the 25-point performance for you in the month of June. Well, that's going to wrap up this show. Folks, I want to say thank you to everyone again, for everyone that participated in our fantasy Playing for Pride soccer. And for those of you that will be able to make donations on behalf of it, we appreciate it. We thank you for that. It's a cause that's big to us. For our guest, Chris, for taking a good chunk of time to join us in this episode. I know I was mentioning to Larry before we were going to go live tonight that Chris is a great conversation. He's a great friend of the show. We will definitely be able to spend a good chunk of time talking to him, and it happened, and it was a great conversation there. I want to thank, of course, you, Larry, producer Andy, all of y'all that participated tonight in the comments and helping us out with this. I appreciate that as well, and we thank you. Make sure if you enjoyed this episode, you give us a like wherever you're listening to it. Give us a follow wherever you listen or on any social media that you have. We're everywhere. We're on Twitter, TikTok, X, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever else. We're not on the old stuff like MySpace and Friendster. Unfortunately, that's not available for us, but we're pretty much everywhere else. For everyone, for Larry, for producer Andy, I'm Ray. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. We are out.